Hello, I'm back. This time I'm going to show you how to make your own Paracord 550 Paracord hammock. Tool and all. Pretty simple to make. Be forewarned, 550 Paracord, this amount that I used was quite expensive. Ran me close to $100. But this is actually a hammock I made for my son. Mine is, rather than 18 wide, 22 wide. But yeah, holds me up. And if it holds me up, what you're going to need for this project is a carabiner. I'm going to use this cheap one. It's for demonstration purposes only. This is not the size you would use to hold up any kind of weight. Carabiner, and again, for demonstration purposes, I've got 40 foot of paracord for my cruise at 22 lines or pairs of lines. I would use closer to 70 or even 80 foot of paracord because of all the weaving and stuff. Loom that I made myself. On this one was for my son's, the hammock I showed you. It's 18 nails. Somewhere between 1.5, no more than 2 inches. You start getting to 2 inches and then you got a really big loom. And then something to use to thread the line through. Okay, so, oh, and a bushcraft hat. Do not forget, you're going to be in any kind of bushcraft set up. You're going to have the nails down towards you. Your carabiner, remember, this is not the right size, this is just for demonstration. It's going to go up here and use the fat end, okay? You're going to leave about 4 foot of paracord off to the side. There's like about me, is about 4 foot. Go up into the carabiner with it. And you come down, and I'm going to use, let's say, the 4 center ones. 6, 7, 8, 9, 16, 17, 8, 5 center ones. So you're going to come down on your outside one. If you're doing it with a bigger, obviously for a bigger size, you're going to go all the way to the end of the loom. And you're going to come up, make sure when you wrap around these nails that it goes the same way every time. Okay? And go back up. Go back up. You want it to be tight enough to stay in place, obviously, but not too tight. It's twisting on me, so tighten it up a little bit. Down, around the same direction, back up. See, that's 10 feet already, so you're going to go through this stuff pretty quick. Inside, and around, back up, down, and around, back up, down, and around, and that will go off to the side. After you clip it off to the side. So I got a little extra, a lot extra. And that's basically the start. Okay, now I'm going to get my threader and try to reposition the camera so you guys can see. Basically, it's a simple weave to start with. Now, remember, there's the ones for adults, you're going to want to go 22 nails out, about 1.5 inches spaced apart, so you get 22 pairs of lines to come down and grab the 22 lines on your hammock. 22 makes it wide enough with a little bit of space to hold you over. The 18 that I did for my son is great for a 14-year-old, but it's not so good for a 50-year-old. So next, because I have the lines pretty much straight up and down like this, you want to take the one in the back on each line, come forward with it on the same side that you pull them all up in. And I'm doing this by hand right now, but that's what your threader is for. And it creates that crisscross there. You see the crisscross that I made between the two lines here? Then you're going to take your ends, in this case this end, feed it through here. Like that, nice and tight. Make it up there. And then this end, which has a lot more than what I need on it, is going to go through here. And your two loose ends are going to crisscross. Anyway, you pull it tight and repeat. This time you're going to pull the back one up in front of the other one. And like I said, it's easy to do with a small number with your hands. You're going to want a separator for when you're going to do a full-size hammock. Push it up tight, pull these nice and tight, and again, cross it through. And this one, they're going to crisscross. That's why I only leave about 4 foot for your pull through. Pull it tight. And repeat the last one. This one, I'm going to go up, down, get that bottom one. Oops, get that bottom one. Push it tight. Send them through. Now with a typical Navy crew, they do about 3 or 4 of these before you start getting into the split. I'll show you that in a second. We'll do split on the next one. You can see how tight these lines are getting. So remember, when you put them on the first time, especially 22 of them, make sure they're taut enough to be able to see the separation of the lines, but not so tight that you're gonna pull your nails out when you thread these through. And did I get that? Yeah, I did. Okay. We got 3 of them there. Now the tricky part. Now you're gonna skip when you go through. Instead of doing the outside ones, you're going to pull the bottom up on the second one in, and then the second to the last one in, and skip that one. Alright? Then you're going to feed your lines through here. You got these 2 free and you got these 2 free, okay. And then take this one and go through there. Way more than what I need into that. And then tighten it up. And then, same thing. You're going to skip these 2. Actually, that comes to the end. So in this case, and do this one and this one. And essentially what you have is a mini crew. With paracord, it's pretty easy to tie it off, burn the ends, and it'll stay. And then you just tie this off here in a knot, burn the ends, and what you have left is a carabiner crew. Basically, that's what it's going to look like on a micro scale. You're going to have one in the middle, your end loops, so your end loops, secondary loop, one in the middle, secondary loop, end loop. And that, in our case, we made 5. And that'll be evened out with a stick or any kind of log. I'll show you that in a second. So tie it off in the middle, burn it. 550 will stay snug. It's got 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, oh, what was it, 18, like 12 or 13. That's what it looks like. The carabiner I got on here is rated for 750 pounds, I think. Runnings, you know, Tractor Supply, any place good. Home Depot, I'm sure, has them, or Lowe's. They're pretty cheap. The most expensive part is going to be this damn paracord. The one with the 7 strands in the middle. You know, 550 pounds per cord, so you've got nothing to worry about. Once you get your crew done, you're going to want the same number of holes that you used. And you're going to slide them through that hole. And this keeps them separated. And keeps your hammock spread out. Let my dog in. So I'll thread the rest of those, let my dog in, so that they come out the other side with a loop. I'll get those all done, and I'll be right back. What you're going to do to hook up the hammock is you're going to get your hammock lined up. Make sure it's not twisted. Like that, end to end. You're going to take each one of these and you're going to thread it through here. In this case, I'm going top to bottom. This one, each knot, top to bottom, 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 all the way along the end. And you're going to use this and you're going to thread it through the knotted part. Knotted part here, going into the bottom. This one's going into the bottom. Thread it through. Next knot, and through the bottom. Thread it through. Green one. Next. Into the bottom. The bottom. Thread it through. All the way. Now, grab the crew Pull it tight. And the holes keep this from sliding off. Where you threaded the hammock through keeps the hammock from sliding off. And there you go. That's how you do your ends. And she's ready to hang up. What I did for cords to tie around the tree is 3 braid with a paracord. That's 1,500 pounds. So yeah, you're not gonna fall. It's gonna stretch though, remember that. So make it high enough off the ground where you're gonna stretch down to a decent sitting position. That's the one thing I learned. There it is. That's the hammock. Packs up pretty good. I mean, for somebody who doesn't do a lot of walking anymore in the woods, you throw that in a bag and bring it out, you can tie it up anywhere. Now the thing about making the hammock itself, there's a lot of videos out there on how to make a net. That's basically what you're doing. But remember, when you make this hammock, the length of the line you start out with has to be 30% more than what you think the finished length will be. So, for example, I'm about 6 foot, so I went with an even 10-foot paracord. And when I got done with the hammock, it went down to about 6.5 to 7 feet long. So let me show you how that's done. Again, demonstration purposes. I'm not making a whole new hammock today. But you want to find the middle of your 10-foot piece. Put the 2 ends together and keep it pinched and tight. Slide it down, keep it tight. Slide it down. Slide it down, there's your middle. On a straight pole, usually hanging up or even another string stretched out, you're going to take them and you're just going to loop it around, just like I did with the thing that held the beaner, and pull it through all the way. And the ends are about the same. And you're going to want to space these out enough where you'll be able to work with them. I put mine about 3 inches apart in length. I'm just going to do 2 of them now, just to go over the basics of the net making. Well, 3 of them. I'll do 3 of them. And pull it through. 2 to 3 inches apart. 1 more. Around, keep them all the same. Pull it up through. Pull it tight. And basic net making. Take the 2 inner ones, tie them up. A simple knot. Pull them through. Pull them through. Tighten it up. Try to do the same distance on the next one. Through. If you leave an open knot like this, you can move it up and down the string where you need it to go. So we want this one right about there. Alright. Then you skip down another length. I measured by a hand's length where to make the next knot. So a hand's length away. Tie these 2 together. Take these two in the middle, hands length away. Tie these two together. Hands length away. Tie these two together. And you continue that, and you'll get your hammock pattern, your diamond pattern. Like I said, for big adult people, 22 was good for me. I'm a good sized guy. 18, actually maybe even less for like 12 to 15, 16-year-old. Obviously, depending on how big you are, is how big you want to make, or how wide you want to make it. Paracord, because they're going to shrink by 30% because of these knots, which is going to give you about 6.5 to 7 feet extra. Plenty of wiggle room. Alright, well, I hope that does it. I hope I made it simple. But they're pretty easy to make, and there's nothing saying you have to use paracord. It's just I felt comfortable with 550 paracord. You know, it's been true, it's tested. It'll hold me up, it'll hold my son up, it'll hold anybody else I don't want to fall up. And I'm the biggest person in the family, so if it holds me up, it'll hold anybody up. That's the rule of thumb anyway. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. If you don't have one, get yourself a bushcraft hat and get out there and build something. Casey Neistat and his election thing. You gotta be pretty stuck on yourself if you think you're gonna go out and do what he did. I'm not gonna tell you either way which way I'm gonna vote, and because I don't like either one of them. So to be honest with you, I'm not even sure yet which way I'm gonna vote or who I'm gonna vote for. But if I did know, I certainly wouldn't share it with YouTube. It's not my place to try to tell people what to do.